Welcome to this channel, and in this video we will be looking at Cambridge IGCSE paper 2 extended October-November 2023 paper, right? So we are going to be taking the first 10 questions in this video. First question says, write 24.07839 correct to 2 decimal places. So when you ask a question like this, all you're simply going to do is, this is the decimal point, right? That's where everything is coming from. So look at two numbers after the decimal point. So this is 24.07839. So this is the first decimal. This is the first number after the decimal point, which is 0. The next is 7. Then you look at the third. Is the number in the third decimal place that helps you to correct the second decimal place. You get that? So this is 8. 8 is before 7. So since 8 is greater than 5, we have the right to round it up by 1. That's the rule. So since 8 is greater than 5, we add 1 to 7, it becomes 24.08. So that's the 2 decimal places by checking the one before. So the B part says correct 24.07839 to the nearest 10. So this is 24.07839. So this is a decimal part, this is the whole part. So this is 4, this represents the units, this is the tens. That's why when we're calling it out, we're going to have 24, right? 20, the tens place. So if we then to correct it in nearest 10, just like what we did in the when we corrected to 2 decimal places, we're looking at the nearest 10. So this is the tens place. So we're going to look at the number that's at the back of the tens place, which is 4. And then we see 4 here. So since 4 is less than 5, it doesn't have the ability to round it up by adding a 1, right? So it's going to round it down, right? It's going to round it down. So what happens here is that we replace 4 with 0. So it's going to be 20. It's going to be 20. Okay. So let's look at question 2. It says write out the number that is 9 greater than negative 23. 9 greater than. So that's simply an addition. That's negative 23 plus 9. Right, so negative 23 plus 9 is very simple to evaluate. So all you simply need to do is evaluate 23 negative 9 is going to be 14 and then attach a negative sign. Right, that's negative 14. Right, negative 23 and then plus 9. So that's same as 9 negative 23. And 9 negative 23 is simply negative of 23 negative 9, right? Okay, question 3 says, V equals U plus 80. Find the value of V when U equals 30, A equals negative 2, and C equals 7. So this is a simple substitution. So what we're going to have is V equals 30 plus, right, let me not be too fast. So that's V equals U plus 80. And V is equal to what's U? 30, right? And then plus A is negative 2. That's negative 2 times 7, right? You could see that we're going to multiply this 2, that's A and C together before adding to U, right? Because according to the BOD operation, or the other operations, we have that multiplication, which is M, comes before addition. So we multiply A and T before adding, right? So don't make the mistake of adding U and A. That's a big blunder. So V is equal to U 30 plus negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. So 30 negative 14 is, because plus negative is negative, right? So 30 negative 14 is 60. So that's the value of V. Fourth question says, change 62,000 millimeters to kilometers. So I'm going to break down the whole system here. You should be able to understand the conversion systems and all of that. So first of all is that 1,000 millimeters, right, comes from the word milli, is equal to 1 meter, right? So it's 1,000, right, meter. So 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. So if that is so 62,000 millimeters, let's say it's going to be equal to x. We don't know what it is right now, right? So we then multiply through. So if we multiply through, because we then want to know 62,000 millimeters is going to be equal to how many meters. So if we multiply through, we're going to have 1,000 millimeters multiplied by x is equal to 62,000 multiplied by 1. So if we then divide through by 1,000, the 3 zeros cancel out, and then we have 62 meters. But this is not the answer, because question says 2 kilometers, right? That's why you should remember that 1,000 millimeters is going to be equal to 1 kilometer. 1,000, that's why it's called kilometers. Kilo represents 1,000. 1,000 meters equals what? 1 kilo. Milli, we have 1,000 millimeters to be what? 1 meter, right? So if 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer, then 62 meters will be equal to what? Let's call it y, right? So we can then multiply through. So that's 1,000 y is equal to 62 times 1. So we then divide through by 1,000, right? So 62 divided by 1,000 is going to give us 0.062, right? And that's the value, 0.062 kilometers. And we successfully converted what we needed to convert. Okay, fifth question says the diagram shows two intersecting straight lines crossing two parallel lines. Find the value of x, right? So you have to master the properties of these angles and stuff like that in these parallel lines. So if one of them is that if we have vertically opposite angles, right? Vertically opposite, if here is x, here is also going to be x. So if here is x, here is also going to be x. And there is no big deal about this, because look carefully. So here is x, right? And then this is a straight line. And you should remember that angles in a straight line do what? Sum to 180 degrees. So if here is x, here is going to be what? 180 negative x. We're looking at this straight line, right? So if we should then look at this line, that's this line, sorry for that. 180 negative x, if here is 180 negative x, then here is going to be 180 negative 180 negative x, which is x. So you can see why they're equal, right? So that's it. So master this stuff so that you don't mix things up. Okay, that's it. So let's continue. We've established the fact that here is also x, vertically opposite angles. So then we come to parallel lines. One thing about parallel lines is that we have what we call the corresponding angles. So that if you have two parallel lines, if the angle here is A, then the angle here is also going to be A. And that's not difficult, because if here is A, these are two parallel lines. And remember that one of the properties of the parallelogram is that the adjacent sides sum to 180 degrees. Remember? So if here is A, here is 180 negative A, right? I'm not sure you can see that clearly, but here is A, just like if here is 114, here's going to be 180 negative 114, and 180 negative 114 is 56. And then 56, this is a straight line, right? And then remember that angles in a straight line sum to 180. So to get this angle over here, it's going to be 180 negative 56, and that's still 114. So as here is 114, the whole of here is also going to be 114. Can you see what I'm saying? So as here is A, here is going to be A. Now let me draw another one. Look carefully. If here is A, here is going to be A. If here is B, here is going to be B. So the outer corresponds to the inner. Inner corresponds to the outer. So if here is 114, so we have that 50 plus x is equal to 114. So x is going to be equal to 114 negative 50, which is equivalent to 64. So x is equal to 64 degrees, because 50 plus x, the angle here 114 is going to be equal to the angle here, and then that's it, right? Hope you get that. Question 6 says explain why 111 is not a prime number. That's simple, right? What's a prime number? That's the first question. It's simply a number that has two factors, 1 and itself. So it's not divisible by any other factor, right? Any other number. So 111, if you look at the number 111, you'll see that the sum of the digits is 3. And the divisibility rule for 3 is that the sum of the digits, if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, then the number is divisible by 3. So the reason or the explanation to this is that 111 has more than 2 factors. Okay, then add divisible by 3, right? So that's the reason. B says find a prime number between 110 and 120. Right? So if we should list that out, we have 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120. Right? So we could easily cancel this 110, 112, 114, 116, 118, 120 because all these are even numbers. They're divisible by 2. They end in 0, end in 2, right? And then you see 111, we've shown that it's not a prime number. Sum of the digits is 3. 115, 113 seems not to be because it does not obey any divisibility rule from all I've seen. Then if you look at 115, you can see that the last digit is 5, and that's one of the divisibility criteria for a number to be divisible by 5. So this cancels. This is divisible by 3 because the sum of the digits 1 plus 1 plus 7 is 9, and that's divisible by 3, right? So that's not part of it. And then 119 is divisible by 7. It obeys the divisibility rule for 7. So this goes. So the answer is 113. That's the prime number between 110 and 120. Okay, next question says find the bearing of Q from P. Right? So Q from P. This is where Q is. Then from P, starting out from the north, we are then calculating as P moves from the north down to the same plane with that of Q, right? So we could trace this down. Pay close attention. And if we trace this down, this is a straight line. And this straight line equals 180 degrees. Now we don't know what this angle is. So as we've traced this down, it's going to be equivalent to 90 degrees, right? So this has formed a triangle, right? And then remember that the angles in the triangle sum to 180 degrees. So let's call this angle here x. So x plus 39 plus 90 degrees is going to be equal to 180 degrees. So x plus 39 plus 90 is 129 equals 180. So x is equal to 180 negative 129. So 180 negative 129 is equal to 51. Right? So that tells us that x is 51 degrees. So P started off from the north, moving 180, then an additional 51 degrees, right? And then 180 plus 51 is 231, and that's the bearing of Q from P, starting off from P, right? You could see that if the question was in the case of maybe P from Q, that would be a different thing, right? I mean, so you're starting off from Q and then you're tracing down to P, right? Question 8 says, without using a calculator, work out 3 whole 1 over 8 negative 1 whole 3 over 4. You must show all your working and give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So the easiest way to go about this, there are basically two methods. It's either you convert each of the fractions to you gotta convert 3 whole 1 over 8 to an improper fraction and then get stuff like that. But what you simply do here, 3 whole 1 over 8 negative 1 whole 3 over 4, 3 negative 1, we simply subtract the whole parts. 3 negative 1 is 2, right? So that's going to be 2 whole of, then we go separately to get a value of 1 over 8 negative 3 over 4. So we've resolved the whole part, then the fractional part. So if we then get the LCM, that's the lowest common multiple of 8 and 4, simply draw two lines. And you see that 4 is divisible by both. So 4 divided 4, 1. 8 divided 4 is 2. 2, 1, 1, right? So 4 times 2, 8. The LCM is 8. So when 8 divides 8, we have 1. 1 times 1, 1. Right? Negative 8 times 8 divided 4 is 2, and 2 times 3 is negative. 2 times 3 is 6, so negative 6. So 1 negative 6 is, sorry, negative 5 over 8. So we're going to have 2 whole negative 5 over 8, right? But this doesn't make any sense, right? Because we subtracted 3 wholes, 1 whole, 3 over 4 from 3 whole 1 over 8. So what we simply do here is to take a 1, right? That's take a whole from 2. Just like if we have two things, A, B, and then we take away 1. So we take 1 over to the fractional part. So what we're going to have is 1 whole negative 5 over 8 plus 1. And negative 5 over 8 plus 1 is same as negative 5 over 8 plus 8 over 8, because 8 over 8 is 1. So negative 5 plus 8 is 3, right? Because that's 8 negative 5. So that's equal to 3 over 8. So we can then, don't forget the whole part is going to be 1 whole 3 over 8. So what we simply got, we subtracted, we had this, but since we had a negative, we had to take 1 from the whole part, and then we were left with 1, and then we simplify the fraction, right? That's it. Question 9 says, write 90 as a product of its prime factors. So you simply draw a line, 90, and then you start to divide by the lowest. It's best to start with 2, because 1 is after the lowest, but that won't help. So 90 divided 2, that's 45. And then 3 could go, 45 divided 3, that's 15. Then 3 could still go 3, that's going to be 5. Then 5 could go 1. So we could say that 90 is equal to 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. And 90 is equal to, now you can see that 3 occurs twice, so you could say 2 times 3 squared times 5. And that's writing 90 as a product of its prime factors. You can see that these factors here are prime numbers. They have 2 factors, 1 and itself, right? Okay, question 10 says expand and simplify 2 into t plus w plus 3 into w negative t. So when you're doing stuff like this, ensure that whatever is outside the bracket multiplies every single thing in. So we have 2 into t plus w plus 3 into w negative t. So 2 times t is 2t, and then 2 times w, 2w, and then 3 times w, 3w, and then 3 times negative t, negative 3t. So 2w plus 3w is 5w, right? And then 2t negative 3t. 2 negative 3 is negative 1. So that's going to be negative 1t. And negative 1t is same as negative t. So that's the value. That's the simplification of 2 into t plus w plus 3 into w negative t. Right, so this is all for this video. On the next video, we're going to be solving questions 11 to 20. Right, and I hope you also engage on that, and I hope you're going to learn big time from this paper walkthrough. Please do well to like this video, share this video, and also do well if you've learned big time from this, do well to subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much once again for watching this video, and have a nice day.